incredible performance. We just raved about this the whole time. That was just wonderful.
And a completely authentic marriage, you know.
Mine.
The people next door we're talking about. Yeah.
What I actually meant was that I totally believed you were married. You know, there was never a moment when I thought you were acting. I believed you sort of utterly, and the shifts, I mean, which is testament to the author. Who is the author? Is the author an Australian? Melbourne. Who is this person? Trent Daniel.
No Trent. No Trent.
Daniel Mellor. Okay. Well, that is a beautiful piece of writing. I mean, it took us on a journey, didn't it? A very distinctive journey, and we went there. So, you know, muzzle tov to him.
Yeah, I wondered whether you could grow into a piece that has a second half in which we meet the boy.
We have other ideas already.
Yeah. I mean, it could go.
Heads off.
It could go full. You know, it could go full distance. This show. It's true.
We met the boy in rehearsals.
What's that?
We met the boy in rehearsals. A boy came and played the son in rehearsals.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Great thing to do.
Interesting.
Oh, so much to talk about. We're going to have lunch. Oh, no, it doesn't matter. No, go on.
Okay, let's talk about the other two plays, eh? Now, hold everything. The first play, the
Housesitter.
Housesitter, with the animals.
He's laughing now.
Well, I thought that was an absolute delight.
Yes.
Congratulations to the triple two. Sorry, beg your pardon. I thought this was just gorgeous. Everything about that play I loved. I thought particularly just an outstanding performance by the dog.
Yes.
Yeah, that was very. Excuse me, is that how you say your name, Mary? Who we saw in Queen of the Mist yesterday. I mean, that was another example of you can never be too much. Wasn't it? I mean, because you totally believed it was just ridiculous what you were at. It was so funny that you stole the show.
Just that it was too much. It wasn't too much, but it was so detailed, that dog.
Yeah.
That's what I loved about it. It was so well observed and it was detailed, which, you know, is the trick. The trick in all of this stuff is this is your palette and use it. You know, all of the possible things that you've ever seen a dog do, she did.
I mean, there's lots to learn from this show. I mean, the pace was fantastic. Just one thing when you're working in theatre, there's one moment which was such a small point, but you remember they're having their date on the orange table here, and we watched them leave, and then the dog, was that who came in that side? And a really good tip is to hold that moment there. Don't go off, because we're going to watch you go off, and there's no dramatic power in watching you go off. Stay there, and when our focus switches to that person entering, exit as they come on. So it's like you push the other one off. So as often as possible, try to get the transition to the exit with the entrance coming the other way. It's not appropriate for every scene change, but in that one I really felt that it was.
Voices off.
Can I say something else first? Oh, well, voices off.
Oh, you talk about it.
Go.
Oh, sorry, we've got in very quick apparently. Voices off. We saw that. Remember where the telephone? There was lots of telephone stuff. And that was the weak point, I think, in this work. That it doesn't. It's not enough power in that to be for you to be making telephone calls and then having someone doing it backstage. Because all we're thinking about is, who is that? Is that an actor we know? Who's making that noise back there that's going, doing the mum and doing the other voices? We need to find a device to get those people either on. Doesn't matter. We go with the reality of anything. We can bring them on stage. Some other device needs to be found.
I think to the actor who played the mum, we all recognise that mum. We know mums who are manipulative and we know what it is. The old men die. It's the old ladies who behave like this. If I could just give you this feedback, I thought that you could have believed more in the mum. You didn't need to tell or signal to us that she was being an old bitch. You know, I think the sort of the pain that leads you to being manipulative and passive aggressive, saying, you know, you can be more passive aggressive. Oh no, it's fine. I'll be fine. You know, no, you have a good time. I'll be fine. It's more that sort of thing that really gives you the shits. Channeling Hannie's mother. Yes. Now, are we taking too long here? Can we say some more?
I'll say some more.
All right, okay, quickly.
Can we open the curtain? Can you
Yes.
open the curtain?
Yeah. No, there's no. Table.
Now, the way this scene was set up was really terrific, and it just contrasted with the problems that we saw yesterday when I was talking about the fact that the couch was here. Exactly the same issue. You had a couch, and the couch, remember, the couch was on an angle there. And the fact that it was on an angle didn't take away from the power of the scene at all. You didn't think, oh, they're not addressing us. So they had a couch there, they had a bed there, they had some other stuff here, but they created an area in the middle where all the action could take. So you never felt the furniture was in the way. So that was a really simple, effective set. So, I mean, it happens all the time because so many plays are set in living rooms. They just are. So the idea of putting something on an angle there and on an angle there, so you've got a space in the middle, it's so basic. And it's so often you see plays where there's a damn thing in the middle where everyone's sort of tripping over it. It's so simple to not have a thing in the middle. Gracie, who played Chili the sexy girl, was Gracie? That was fantastic. That was the hottest performance I've seen for years. You weren't even on my side of the fence. Perhaps that's part of the appeal. There, I've said it. Gracie gave us a lesson in acting from your feet up. You know, I mean, she was all, wasn't she? She was absolutely working from her feet up. And perhaps I shouldn't be saying this, but often men always work from the pelvis when they're being sexy because that's where their sexual power is. But often you'll get girls coming on working from their breasts as being sexy like that. And it actually robs them of real power. Whereas that was absolutely, you know, you were here. And that was fabulous because you were strong all the way up. It's just 101, being sexy, start at your feet and make it your pelvis that's strong. Because these take care of themselves.
Interesting character.
We often laugh about that bosom acting and as though you had kind of headlights on each nipple. You know, when people do that, they come in and you can tell what's going on when they do that. Or even, it doesn't matter if they've got the perky variety or the matronly shelf. It's still the same sort of thing. But it's definitely to do with, you know, working from your pelvis. That's, you know, the comparison, say, with Marilyn Monroe. There's a kind of an animal power about that woman that, you know, even though she was... Shut up.
I like it when you talk like this.
Even though she was performing for the male gaze, as they say, she was, you know, giving you everything. She was giving you her, committing her whole body, not just her top half.
Yeah, okay, we've got to stop there. Oh, no, I want to say one more thing. I love the way the director of that came into the space and assessed the way in which this space could enhance the show. So these entrances are really powerful. And I would, you know, the moment I would come in as a director, I think, okay, what can we use here? We've got a door there, we've got a door there, we've got these stairs, we can use those things. You know, how can I make the play work in this space? And that director really made that work. I mean, I haven't been in this space before. I might be wrong about this, but I'm trying to learn how this space works myself. I think this entrance is really weak. There's something wrong with where that flat is or something, but when people do this, they just seem to be coming on. It's not like bang. Whereas you can make a kind of bang here. Perhaps it's because this is a weak spot. You can't get power from here. Which, so to move on to the next play, when the detectives are at the back here on one side, that was not a good place to put them because there was no power to that at all. I mean, at least put them in the middle, because see how that's at least a strong position. So when you're directing a play, the first thing you want to look at in your space is where are the strong axes. So here's one here, and there's the light there, and I hit it, and that's the most powerful position in the theatre. And you shouldn't be ashamed of using it. It's not, you don't think, oh my God, that's so obvious, stand in the middle with a light on you. That's where I can really talk to all of you and hold myself open to you, and you will believe anything I tell you if I stand vulnerable looking at you like this. There probably is a diagonal, but I don't know where it is, but I don't know, but there is maybe it's there, you know, so you're looking for these diagonals because you want to avoid the kind of thing we saw in a couple of plays yesterday, which is just the thing that slides up and down here like ducks on a shooting gallery. So anyway, next one, sorry, move on, Michael.
Yeah, unhinged. You take it.
Oh, okay. Unhinged. Now, I found this a very unsettling play, and emotionally I was sort of unsettled the whole time, and I know that that's actually not a grounds for anything. It's not a grounds for criticism, but it's a grounds to explain being a bit off centre with feedback, really, because of the feeling that it engendered in me. I felt really that this kind of text was more suited to television. Was more suited to television possibly because of multiple locations within a one-act play. Like if you've got a one-act play, you kind of need to find a space and stick with it and play with it, but it's harder to have to be using within your 40 minutes multiple spaces that you create all the time. So there was that. But I think the thing that bothered me was that I don't really, and I'm just talking off the top of my head now, don't actually understand about multiple personalities, and I wasn't sure that they're necessarily represented that way. I'm not really, is there a psychologist in the room that knows about multiple personalities? Yeah? And how did you feel about that representation? I'm so anxious in the world where we're trying to be not reckless about mental illness.
Yeah.
Putting you on the spot.
Multiple personality, it can be represented in that way, but they would have to have more of a psychotic side to them. So an everyday person with the multiple personality probably fair, but they would have to have a really psychotic, narcissistic side to them to be, representing in that sense.
Okay, but that was pretty psychotic.
Yes, that can be. That represented in that way, spot on if they have got narcissistic side.
Right, okay. Right.
You wouldn't see it very often, but yeah. So the actor did a really strong job in that sense.
All right, okay. So it was very extreme, it was very violent, it was very dangerous. It was great to see the actors taking a risk in that way. It certainly did all that, didn't it? We actually didn't know what happened at the end, did we?
No.
We don't know what that was about. Anna was somehow complicit. The girl who was here was somehow complicit in the whole thing, but we never understood how she was complicit. But, it was great to see actors trying and going to the edge and really taking this into a place that was uncomfortable and dangerous. And pushing hard. We believed in the space. The space really took us into another space. We believed in the outside. But the high standard continues. Sorry, we've gone on for too long, but it's lunchtime.
Sure is. Tell them it's lunchtime.
It's lunchtime!
I thought we'd already had lunchtime. No.